Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel. We're here at MetroEast Community Media in Gresham, Oregon. And with me tonight, I have a couple of guests from Impact Northwest. I have Susan Stolzenberg, who is the Executive Director. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And Renata Wilson, the Director of Housing and Safety Net at Impact Northwest.
Hi.
Thanks for being here, Renata. So Impact Northwest has been around for quite a long time. And as I was telling you earlier, I used to catch the bus right outside of your building there. And I've had some friends who have done volunteer work there, but I don't know a whole lot about it. So maybe you can start, Susan, by giving me a little history. Tell me why Impact Northwest was started and go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thanks for letting us be here.
Oh, sure.
Tonight.
My pleasure.
It's great. So Impact Northwest started in Southeast Portland, inner Southeast at the time, in response to the growing poverty in that area. And it was a group of 5 neighborhood associations and 4 faith communities who got together and said, what can we do in our community to improve and take charge of the needs of the folks in our community.
That's kind of impressive in itself, 4 faith communities and 5 neighborhood associations being able to come together.
Yeah, and it still represents who we are, really. We're very community-based. That was 1966, and we were the recipient of some of the first War on Poverty funds under the Johnson administration.
Really?
And organized one of the first tool exchanges. Everyone always says, oh, you know, they were the, you know, now we're seeing them come up again.
Right, we had the library, the tool library.
Yes. But we had one in 1968.
Wow.
And we had the first youth center in 1974. And so, again,
you were quite pioneers in your field.
Yeah, and I think we still are.
Yeah.
So Slavic Services is a good example, and Renata will be talking about that. But today we serve 60,000 people, and mostly in Multnomah County, but some in Washington County. And from early childhood until very end of life. Our mission remains to support people in achieving and maintaining self-sufficiency and to reduce poverty. So when it's we think that the best tool for future prosperity in a child's life is academic success. So that starts really before the baby's born. So we want to make sure those families are stably housed, have employment, and that that child is ready for school, so has all that great, rich early childhood experience.
It's a very holistic approach to
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that. I think sometimes people forget that, you know, a kid cannot do well in school if they don't have all that support behind them, like the good nutrition and a stable home life.
Right.
Sure. So now you've been there, what you said about
almost 50 years, and today we serve.
You haven't been there 50 years.
No. Yeah, I was started very young.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow.
Yeah.
She looks good. So, okay, so it's been around for almost 50 years.
Right.
And how has it changed? You said the mission is pretty much the same.
The mission changed a little bit. We took geography out of it. We decided that what we are really good at continues to be community-based organizing around communities' responses to the needs as they see them.
Okay.
And then folks coming in with the assets they have, with the strengths they have, the abilities, the capacity, and to meet the needs of others. And in the process, by the way, I happen to believe that we have over 2,000 volunteers, and I think 201, they would say they receive at least as much enrichment in their own life through the volunteer experience as that they give to the children and families they serve.
I think that's one of the best things about volunteering is that, and I think in any volunteer experience, you usually get as much as you put into it, and often more. And I'm a big believer in getting the kids to start real early too.
Me too.
So do you have any young ones? I mean, like teenagers volunteering for you?
Yeah. In fact, we are also in the schools, and so a lot of our little guys. For example, we have food pantries in a lot of our Sun schools that we manage in Multnomah County, and Sun schools are programs that integrate into the after-school hours.
Right, and I've had some people from Sun Schools here before.
Oh, good.
It's a great program.
Yeah,
great program. So you do housing, you do you're supporting kids academically to help, and the
early
food
childhood.
pantry, I mean, you do a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, we do.
You do. Now, Renata, you are in charge of the housing and safety net. Housing is sort of self-explanatory, but I want you to talk a little bit more about that. But what is safety net? What does that refer to?
Well, safety net refers to pretty much anything that you need and includes basic needs and beyond.
Okay.
So it could be if you need a box of food to kind of get you through a day till you can go next day maybe to the food bank. If you need energy assistance, helping pay with your electric or gas bill, water bill. If you need any clothes or any hygiene items.
So it's kind of things, Band-Aids sort of.
Yeah.
Yes.
To kind of get you through from the situation you're in till you get to a more permanent solution.
Because big part of our housing program is also employment and training assistance. So lots of our housing clients are also enrolled in services that help them get some training so they can have livable wage employment.
How do the people come to you? How do they find out about you? Are they referred from other places, or they just?
Depends on the service.
Okay.
We have several gateways, is what we call them. Renata talked about our housing program, which is folks can come in off the street, literally, right there on Burnside and 101st. They just walk in, and they can use our computers there to look for housing or jobs or food banks or shelters or whatever they need. And in the process, one of our staff or volunteers is going to sit with them and learn more about them. They can also call in, although I don't recommend that particular approach because on the first of the month, for example, we can have 4,000 or 5,000 calls in a few days. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So 211 Info sends us a lot of folks, and we really recommend 211 Info that's just 211 in Multnomah County, and you just call 211. And they'll help you sort out what you need, and they'll tell you whether Impact has what you need or maybe somebody closer to you has it.
That's great. That's a good service.
And then we're networked with, like we talked about before, the faith communities and the neighborhood associations know who we are.
So you probably get a lot of referrals from those too.
The schools, the hospitals, lots of different sources.
Well, talking about, say you were talking about the housing, that you're kind of in charge of that. So if somebody is homeless or they're perhaps going to be evicted because they can't afford to stay where they are, or whatever the situation may be, or maybe they had a fire and they don't have a home, or what, all those kind of situations that you would handle. And so they would come to you, and what would you do? Give me an example of how you might. Say somebody was being evicted because they could not afford to pay their rent any longer. Maybe.
And it's probably going to be Friday night at 5 o'clock that happens, by the way.
So just kind of give me an example of what you would do.
Well, first they would talk to one of our intake workers. They would screen them. They would find out more of the situation, because lots of our programs that we receive an array of programs for our housing services, and they vary by the funding sources, so you have to qualify, and some of the qualification may be your income. So what the intake worker does, they screen the potential client for what program would they fit in, if we have something available, and then we sit down with them, do some assessment what their situation is. Usually what we find out is the eviction is not the only problem. There's multiple
other things
problems
that led up to that, probably.
Exactly. That's usually the end result of multiple barriers or problems that are happening. So we try to do the overall assessment to find out where the kids are, if they need any assistance in the school, if we should refer them to our other programs. If there are any early, like babies or something, we make sure they have all the food and diapers and all that, so we have all the basics.
It's kind of like one-stop shopping, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's great.
Try to be.
That's great. Now you, I know you have a couple of events coming up that I want to talk about, but one of the things that you talked about was you have Slavic services. What exactly? Now you're involved with that, or both of you? How does that? Tell me what that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Does it mean it's like in mid 90s when there was this really larger wave of immigrants from mostly refugees from former Soviet Union? We realized that they really need culturally specific services, because the adults, for the most part, had a hard time understanding or speaking English.
Sure.
So we started hiring people from that region that understand the culture, speak the language, so they can assist them to kind of assimilate in their new kind of surroundings.
Yeah.
Me, myself, being from that part of country, I'm from former Czechoslovakia. I could kind of understand, because I was in their boat, same boat about 20 years ago, so I had a great kind of
some
passion for that.
Yeah, some empathy there.
So,
sure.
And then in early 2000s, Multnomah County realized that they need what they call target outreach population, and Slavic is one of them.
Okay.
Because like Eastern European actually are the fastest growing minority.
Is that right?
According
oh, wow.
to,
Wow. We had some pictures that I think you provided that,
yeah.
so I think maybe we should take a look at them now, and maybe you can tell me what we're looking at when they come up on the screen. But I think they were from the Slavic, or some of them
Right,
were from the
some.
Slavic
One of the- yeah.
Services program. So we'll see
And
if
our
we can-
services, like our other services, are geared to serve the family from the very youngest babies and to include also the elders.
Good. So what are we looking at here?
This is actually Easter celebration from 3 years back. We have kind of two tracks of Slavic services. One is for more like because Slavic people speak so many different languages and are from so many different cultures, we kind of work with, we have one track that is from the former Soviet Union and mostly speak Russian. And they mostly are accessing our housing and safety net services. This picture is from Easter celebration, and that's from our other track, which is more like Western, Central European, mostly Czech, Slovak, people from Poland. And this is basically help them maintain and teach the kids their customs, where they came from.
Because
Not
a lot of the
to
kids were
abandon.
probably born here,
Lots of kids are
but
born
the parents
here,
were
yeah.
from the old country. So that's great. Help them
Yeah, and-
retain that sense of identity, ethnic identity. That's wonderful.
It also allows us to invite in folks who may not be receiving direct services, but it's a community-wide event, and so then there's that subtle awareness that grows. That subtle awareness that grows that we can be a resource to them for a variety of things.
And we also try to provide some education at these events, like information about child abuse, domestic violence.
Use that opportunity to educate, sure.
And this is one of our early childhood educators. And early childhood is a part of what we do with the Slavic families, and we do a combination of in-home visits and cooperative preschool and often family events. And we're doing developmental screenings, we're trying to make sure, and also informing families, typically in their language, of what the expectations are with regard to everything from vaccinations to language development and pre-literacy training, how what we in the United States believe about brain growth, what it takes to be ready for kindergarten with skills.
It would be overwhelming, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would be overwhelming to be from another country coming over here and trying to understand all that.
I think one of the strengths in the Slavic community is they embrace intergenerational family formation. So again, you'll see in those photos that there are folks from all generations.
That's right.
And that's also a characteristic of our Slavic services.
That's something to definitely cherish and keep going.
Yeah. Now these are pictures of our after-school programming through our Sun Schools.
Okay.
And we also do summer programming. It looks to me like they're doing some kind of science project, but maybe they just dropped something. I'm not sure.
It's one or the other.
And this is our backpack program. Most of our Sun Schools have food pantries, and on Fridays, anywhere at each school between 60 and 80 families the kids take home backpacks full of enough food to feed them for the weekend.
That's great.
Most of our schools are feeding 3 meals a day.
Wow.
And because we work in the highest poverty neighborhoods, and many of those children, if we didn't provide that service, they tell us they would not be eating again until Monday morning breakfast.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Okay, I hate to say this, we're almost out of time. So let's cover a couple things real quick, and then you're going to have to come on again because I have a whole bunch more questions. Power of One Luncheon coming up May 5th. 2012 at the Marriott Portland Waterfront.
Yes.
And what's that about?
That is just a great place to learn more about Impact Northwest.
Okay.
We give a couple of inspiring awards, one for the Volunteer of the Year and one for the client who's inspired us most this year.
I love that. I love that. Okay, and it's a free
It's free.
event. Okay.
It's May 4th.
May 4th?
It's Friday, May
I have May 5th, but
It's
go to your
Friday.
website.
Yeah.
Go to your
Go to-
website,
yeah.
right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yoshida's Sand in the City.
It is a huge family
Yeah,
event.
I've been there at Pioneer Courthouse Square.
Sand
It's really
sculptures
fun.
in Pioneer Square, and it's this year's July 20th through the 22nd. And every day there are different activities. There's also a huge luau party on Saturday night. You can form teams. Again, go to our website and look at Yoshida's Sand in the City.
Wonderful.
Lots of ways to be involved.
Good, good. I really would like to have you on again because you do a huge amount of work in the community, and I think you do some tremendous work. So
Great. Well, thank you.
we'll do it again sometime.
Okay.
And in the meantime, if people are interested in finding out more, the website is
www.impactnw.org.
good. Okay. Thank you, Susan
thank
and
you.
Renata, very much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for staying with us for this first episode of Community Hotline. We'll be right back. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned a lot, but don't go away. We'll be right back.